So what I've done over the past is I have the political skills that are necessary based on the various roles that I've played. I think I have the administrative and management skills that are necessary to run a large organization and bring things together. Most importantly, I think I have the fundraising skills where I've actually gone out and raised money in some of the most difficult times ever in a state like Michigan when we had some of the worst cycles in 2006 and 2008 and successfully raised over $29 million in our state alone. So as we look forward as to what we need as the next chairman, if we take a look at the challenges that we're going to face as the next chairman, I think you need somebody who can articulate the message, who can make sure the trains run on time, and who can raise the money necessary to fund the programs we're going to have to do. And with that, I offer myself as a candidate for chairman. Thank you very much.
When we began this job in 2009, we couldn't find anyone to say they were a Republican, let alone run for one. We couldn't find people who actually believed that we could do it, that we still had value. Time magazine claimed that we were an endangered species in 2009, not that long ago. And so in coming into the RNC, where we were hemorrhaging our base of conservative supporters long before my tenure began, where our donors were frustrated and angered, where our core beliefs were questioned, we put together a small team and got busy at the task of winning elections, reaffirming the value of this party to the American people, but most especially to those who have committed themselves to it. And that was hard work. I'm a glass half full kind of guy. I don't see the crisis as some may see it. I don't see it as something where the alarm bells go off and you start throwing and remaking and blowing up. But what you do is you get down to the heavy burdensome work of building, and we did. In 2009, New Jersey, Virginia happened. Beginning of 2010, Massachusetts and Hawaii happened. And we began to see in ourselves the opportunity to win. And as we get through this next cycle, that reality confronts us larger than anything else. We fired Pelosi. The Democrats wanted to hire her back.
Hey.
That will take that mantle up in this time as well. But my opportunity for all of us now is to go forward, to continue to build on the successes that we've had, and I ask for your support in doing so as the chairman of the Republican National Committee.
Build strong state party organizations. We have learned time and time again, during a presidential cycle, you do not win presidential elections without a strong state party organization. And I have called for an 18-month state victory plan that would be due April 1st of this year.
The family concept is an ideal that we aspire to. It is what we work towards to create a healthy environment for our kids to grow into, so in the future they too can be contributors to our country and to our nation and to our history and our legacy. It is rooted in those ideas and those traditions. There are a lot of discussions and debates about the definition of family, and everyone has their own way of making it. As a party, though, we have said very clearly that we support this ideal, that we support this tradition, and I think that that is a very good spot for the party to be in.
I don't believe that judges can rewrite the Constitution and redraft what marriage is. I think marriage is, there's a sanctity of marriage. I believe that. I believe and I agree with Michael that certainly it's foundational in our lives. I believe my kids and I believe children should grow up with one father and a mother, if possible. Certainly we support single parents. It's really hard. I don't believe anybody should be denied dignity in this discussion. Everyone should be loved. But at the end of the day, I believe that marriage, through the sanctity of marriage, should be between one man and one woman.
I agree that marriage is between one man and one woman. It is the true fabric of our society. And I live by my marriage beliefs. I've been faithfully and, I don't know, I guess happily married, for 24 years, if you're here. Have to ask him. For 24 years, we have 3 beautiful children. I live my family traditional values and my values and sanctity of marriage as I consider a true sacrament, a bond that's taken before God and others. I also think it's wonderful as a state party chairman, as I was, to watch these kinds of values reaffirmed legislatively. When we won the majority in both houses in Missouri for the first time in 50 years and then elected a Republican governor, we were able to pass legislation, that a constitutional amendment in Missouri that said that in fact, that reaffirmed your 80% center-right beliefs in this, that marriage is between one man and one woman.
Yeah, look, I think very straightforwardly, marriage is both a religious and a cultural institution that has existed for over 2,000 years. I think it is a natural aspect of life, and I think that marriage is between a man and a woman, and that I think the family unit is very important. And actually, I think that our both belief and our kind of activity to promote marriage and promote the nuclear kind of our traditional family is an important distinction that we have in America versus almost every other country in the world. So I just think it's very simply both a religious and a cultural institution that is worth protecting and worth fighting.
Certainly in Wisconsin is what happens when you put true conservatives on the ballot that speak the truth, that speak to the principles of our platform. And even in Wisconsin, we can turn a state red by sticking to the principles of our party. You know what? People were defeated because a lot of us in this room were tired of going to the polls, holding our noses and voting for Republicans that didn't uphold the basic principles of our platform. I think we need to win these battles in the courts. I think we need to win more races in the legislature so that we can pass photo ID in all states and make sure that we either have photo ID, real ID, or some method of protecting our constitutional right to vote in this country. I think it has to be a top priority of the next chairman.
Voter fraud is a real issue out there, and it's important that every state party and the national party, that we provide the resources and the legal basis and the resources in order to stop voter fraud out there and to initiate what we call ballot integrity programs across the country. Poll watchers are very, very important to have out there to keep vigilant, and we had an army of those in this last election cycle at many precincts around the state of Missouri. Provisional balloting is a key way that we've got to play and make sure that those rules and the integrity of that are kept. We have to have teams of lawyers out there that can call at a moment's notice to go down, whether it's closing a poll, whether it's checking on the ballots and the voting that's going on at any particular polling place. All of that goes into it. Technology, has given us this great ability to make voting.
Facebook, or I know what social media is. You have to actually be part of it and live it. And I think when you do, when you take a look at the thousands, hundreds of thousands, in fact millions, hundreds of millions of people that are on Facebook as an example. And today over 70% of most people get some of their information online. And much of what the college Republicans and all the young voters are going to want to hear and what they're going to be part of and where they're going to get that information are from online sources. So I think we have to be very active with the college Republicans and the young Republicans. We obviously have legal restrictions as to what we can and can't do. But I think that this is a program and this is an area where this is not only the future of the party, this is the party today. And this is where we're going to grow.
Investment at the RNC in my first year, just on that front, to make what we had to say relevant through new vehicles and new technologies. Revamping, we don't have a web page, we have a web platform. To run for national committeeman and committeewoman for your state party, to run for chairman of your state party, to run for local office, to run and be involved in this process, get your fingers here at the table and help shape the direction of the party, because the future is not tomorrow, as Saul noted, it is right now. It is right now. And so every effort we've made at the RNC has been towards engaging, from our bus tour, our national bus tour, Fire Pelosi tour, to what we've done in the election cycles and even in the off year, engaging young voters to have a seat at this table and to help shape the direction and the future of this party. Because all of us at some point are going to need to retire, probably sooner than later for some. And the reality of it is that we need to make certain that the next generation is prepared and ready to step up.
The future of our party, they are the heart of our party, and I was never so reminded of that when I had the privilege of chairing Roy Blunt's U.S. Senate campaign this last election cycle. The youth of our party run our parties. They run our elections. They're the workers out there that are going door to door, making the calls the staffers that are working countless hours for nothing but a pizza. I'm 48 years old. I was old in this last election cycle. And I have a great idea to use new technology and reach and have a conversation with the young people, the youth of America, where they live. It's important that I think we begin to institute, and I want to develop this some, the virtual precinct. You all have, as I'm staring at you right here, have a Facebook page, you have a network, you have a group of people that are a sphere of influence to you, that follow you, that are a part of your world. You ought to be advocating to them, just like we do the old demographic and geographic precinct out there. You ought to be targeting them, you ought to be messaging to them, you ought to be turning them out. The virtual precinct is a way to take the CRs and the YRs, I hope, and make them a real part of this next election cycle.
All right, it is time for our lightning round, and before we go to that, I just want to remind our viewers that they're still open